You do everything the proper way. You go to church.
Imagine you're milking a cow in rural Pennsylvania when a guy named Lebanon Levi bursts into your barn with a camera crew and a baseball bat. No, this never literally happened. But that's exactly the fever dream energy Amish Mafia wanted you to believe.
Merlin guy is running around saying God knows what.
This was Discovery Channel's Boldest Identity Crisis, a show that asked, what if the Amish secretly ran a criminal underworld and then ignored reality entirely? Instead of a real documentary, viewers got staged confrontations, fake Pennsylvania Dutch, and buggies filmed in barns with suspiciously professional lighting.
We need to do something to get the community to see us in a positive way.
The premise was simple. Take a peaceful, private community, one where many avoid electricity or cameras, and portray them as if they're running a low-budget Godfather remake and suspenders, add some reenactments, dramatic narration, and a cast that wasn't even fully Amish, and somehow millions tuned in. But beneath the spectacle, the backlash grew. Experts called the show misleading. Locals protested its portrayal, and politicians eventually stepped in to condemn it. Still, the ratings held long enough that Discovery kept the chaos going for 4 seasons.
I know things have been very stressful lately from everything that's going on.
So what happened? How did a staged, stereotype-fueled circus become primetime TV? Let's dive into the buggy wreck that was Amish Mafia, where almost nothing was real, everything was exaggerated, and yet America couldn't look away. Let's rewind to 2012, a simpler time when fake news was still just called cable television.
Not only are we helping out the community, but we're making money too.
And the Discovery Channel hadn't yet gone full National Enquirer. Back then, Discovery still had a shred of Mythbusters era credibility. So when they announced a new docuseries set in the Amish heartland, people thought, this might actually be interesting. Then came the trailer cue dramatic narration. In a world where the ordnung must be obeyed. Cut to slow motion barn doors opening. A man in suspenders steps out, flanked by 2 others with stoic faces and sunglasses. You half expect them to pull assault rifles from under their cloaks like they're about to raid a quilting bee.
Parents buy a buggy and they'll buy a horse and a harness to start rumspringing.
That man, the star, the myth, the marketing goldmine, was Lebanon Levi, real name Levi Stoltzfus, a not quite Amish vigilante with a past, a mission, and apparently a camera crew on speed dial. Small detail, Levi wasn't even a baptized member of the Amish church.
The Amish community is calling me up and had me take them to see prostitutes.
Which in Amish terms means he's about as Amish official as a guy wearing lederhosen at Oktoberfest. Amish Mafia premiered on December 12th, 2012, and it was an instant ratings hit. Over 3.6 million viewers tuned in to see what was supposedly happening in Lancaster County. Spoiler, nothing but the show made it look like a mashup of The Godfather and Swamp People, with enough dramatic reenactments and dimly lit confessionals to confuse your grandma into thinking it was a real documentary. The pitch was genius in its cynicism.
Write his name and address on here.
Take a notoriously private, pacifist community, one that often avoids cameras, self-promotion, and even electricity, and paint them as a secret crime syndicate. Because obviously, the guy churning butter is also running a protection racket on the side. The show framed its mythology against real tensions in Amish communities, even referencing the 2006 nickel mine school shooting in ways scholars later called exploitative, since the Amish response to that tragedy was famously peaceful and rooted in forgiveness. Amish Mafia's version, a vigilante backstory involving violence, intimidation, and barn justice. But America, hungry for spectacle and allergic to fact-checking, swallowed it whole.
And if he calls you again, get in touch with me through Alvin.
It was edgy, it was gritty, it was heavily dramatized and full of staged scenes. But in the golden age of trash TV, when storage wars, toddlers and tiaras, and moonshiners dominated the lineup, Amish Mafia fit right in. And with that, the myth was born. At first, Amish Mafia had America in a chokehold. Like a bad relationship, we ignored the red flags. The shaky camera work, it's gritty. The weird reenactments, it's authentic. The fact that many Amish avoid being filmed for religious reasons. Shh, it's fine. But soon the cracks began to show. Not little hairline fractures, full-on barn-sized holes in the facade. Let's start with the small stuff. A quick glance at the credits revealed that many scenes were recreations. You know, that handy little word TV producers use when they're legally obligated to admit, we made this crap up. The New York Times flat out called the show fiction presented as fact. Amish scholars said the concept of an Amish Mafia was a complete fabrication.
Alvin just called us. It's go time.
Even the law enforcement body the show referenced, the so-called Lancaster County Police Department, doesn't actually exist in that form. It was as real as a child insisting they have a girlfriend in Canada. And yet, Discovery doubled down. The producers insisted the show was inspired by real events, like how a fever dream is inspired by dinner. Then there was the cast Lebanon Levi, the stoic leader of the Amish underworld, wasn't even a baptized member of the Amish church, which, if you know anything about the Amish, is kind of like calling yourself a Catholic priest because you've watched The Exorcist twice. The other cast members weren't exactly spotless either.
We're under strict orders from Levi to get proof of this community leader's sin.
Esther Schmucker, the show's main female character, had multiple disorderly conduct charges. Jolin had a rap sheet involving marijuana possession and fleeing the scene of an accident. And Alan Beeler, aka the Schwartz Amish, went full Fast and Furious in real life, arrested after a police chase while driving on a suspended license with drugs in the car. In short, the people who claimed to be enforcing Amish justice were barely Amish and definitely not just. Even the locations were questionable. Scenes deep in Amish country were filmed in public parks or random back roads with barely an Amish chicken in sight. One local shopkeeper shown paying protection money later said he had never even heard of the show until it aired and was shocked to see his face in it.
The key to have a great fight night is have a great fighters. The better the fighter, the better the show.
Then came the backlash. Academics and Amish experts were appalled. Professor Donald Crable, basically the LeBron James of Amish studies, called the show a steaming pile of misrepresentations. His colleague, David Weaver Zerker, said he thought the trailer was an SNL parody when he first saw it. Honestly, same. It wasn't just academia. In Lancaster County, local churches, residents, and even elected officials were furious a coalition called Respect Amish formed to protest the show's portrayal of their community. And in 2014, the governor of Pennsylvania, along with 18 other state officials, signed an open letter demanding that Discovery cancel the series, calling it a bigoted portrayal of a peaceful religious minority. Imagine making a show so offensive, so blatantly misleading, that elected officials treat it like a public emergency.
Average way better than average fighter.
But Discovery didn't flinch, because ratings talk, and Amish Mafia was still pulling in millions. So what did they do? They aired a Christmas special because nothing says Holy Night like a fake Amish vigilante threatening someone in a barn. But eventually, the chaos caught up with them. Season 3 started off strong. Then the show abruptly claimed that production had halted because most of the cast refused to continue filming. This walkout was presented on screen, complete with cease and desist messages from one of the show's lawyers. Whether this was a real legal dispute or just another layer of scripted drama has never been confirmed. Critics lean toward publicity stunt. Fans lean toward, okay, this is getting weird. By this point, public opinion had shifted from this is wild,
And we make money for the alcohol, but the real money comes from betting on the fighters.
to this is wrong. The show's mythology, a rogue justice squad protecting the Amish from drugs, sin, and horse thieves, started to look less like reality TV and more like adult men in suspenders cosplaying The Sopranos. Twitter exploded with hashtags like hashtag Amish Mafia's fake meme pages popped up, roasting the show for its over-the-top nonsense. Redditors shared photos of the crew filming secret Amish meetings in totally non-secret places like public parking lots. And then came the worst move of all. The show leaned into the real-life 2006 Nickel Mine school shooting as part of its backstory, a tragedy where 5 young Amish girls were killed and the community responded with forgiveness and compassion. Scholars and local leaders called the show's use of that tragedy grotesque and exploitative. And they were right. Using a real massacre to justify staged barn beatdowns isn't edgy, it's sick. By the end of season 3, even Discovery seemed confused about what they'd created. Ratings were declining, backlash was intensifying, and the show began referencing its own controversies in a weird attempt to stay relevant. Season 4, in 2015, limped across the finish line, pulling fewer viewers than ever before. The finale, titled The End is Near, didn't feel like a dramatic climax. It felt like a mercy kill.
I mean, this guy literally is trying to hurt you.
And just like that, it was over. No barn explosion, no buggy ride into the sunset, just a reunion special called Amish Confidential, and a book by Levi that briefly spiked on a local bestseller list before fading into obscurity. What started as a viral sensation ended as a punchline to its own joke. By the time Amish Mafia limped into its 4th season, the show had officially become the very thing it pretended to expose, a polished, corporate, overproduced parody of itself. Whatever tiny shred of maybe this is real energy it once had long been beaten to death with a butter churn. The violence wasn't shocking anymore. The buggies weren't ironic. The drama felt more scripted than a WWE retirement match. Even casual viewers could sense it. The same 3 plot lines were recycled endlessly. Levi is betrayed, Jolin wants power. Esther cries in an open field for atmospheric effect. Rinse, repeat, pretend it's reality.
There's a computer and an iPad for games. There's a TV that we use for weekends.
What started as bizarre and strangely fascinating had hardened into a formula. The show became so self-aware of its own reputation that it began performing the outrage on purpose. Episode titles like False Prophets and Forbidden Knowledge tried desperately to sound edgy, but landed more like your uncle's political memes on Facebook, overdramatic, outdated, and unintentionally hilarious. Meanwhile, Discovery was clearly feeling the heat. After years of backlash from scholars, local leaders, religious groups, and even elected officials, the network tried to awkwardly meta-correct. The show began referencing controversies and criticisms as if acknowledging them would magically make the series legitimate.
You guys got an ID? We usually charge them $20 to get in, depending on what we have going on that night.
Spoiler, it didn't online. The shift was even clearer. Amish Mafia had fully mutated into meme territory. People weren't watching it for authenticity. They were watching it for the absurdity. The phrase Amish Mafia became shorthand for obviously fake reality TV pretending to be real. Reddit threads filled with comments like, "This is the fakest show I've ever seen, and I watched Ancient Aliens sober." And "They're filming secret Amish meetings at my local Walmart parking lot. I swear I'm not making this up." These viral posts weren't official confirmations, of course, but they reflected exactly how the audience now saw the show. Unintentionally comedic, blatantly staged, and about as secret as a flash mob. Even years later, random TikToks would resurface clips of Levi glaring into the camera like a medieval tax collector, or Jolin dramatically jumping out of a buggy like he's entering CSI Lancaster. The comments always said the same thing. How did people think this was real? And then there was the biggest problem.
The Amish, they have a lot of rules to follow, so during Rumspringa, and they can try a lot of things that they're not allowed to.
Tone deafness. By the mid-2000s, audiences were becoming far more aware of representation, culture, and exploitation in media. Amish Mafia, with its stereotypes, caricatures, and sensationalized depictions of a quiet religious minority, suddenly looked like a fossil from a dumber time. Scholars outright labeled it bigoted. Local leaders called it harmful. Even viewers who were just in it for the chaos started getting uncomfortable. Worst of all, the show stopped being fun. You can only watch someone dramatically kick open a barn door in slow motion so many times before you start rooting for the barn. By 2015, the audience had moved on. The backlash had peaked, the meme had burned out, and Amish Mafia, once Discovery Channel's trashy crown jewel, had shriveled into a punchline. Amish Mafia was never about the Amish. It was about spectacle. Discovery put a beard on a guy, stuck him in a buggy, added dramatic lighting, and somehow convinced millions it was documentary television. For a moment, it worked.
Because some people, they bought some things that were not meant to be there.
People tuned in not because it felt real, but because it was too absurd to look away. But once the reenactments, the non-Amish cast, the invented Amish justice system, and the backlash from scholars and officials piled up, the whole fantasy collapsed under its own weight. In the end, Amish Mafia became a cautionary tale about what happens when you exaggerate and distort a peaceful community for entertainment. It gave us memes, viral clips, and the unforgettable image of Lebanon Levi brooding beside a confused horse, but not much else. So if you ever watch a reality show where the vigilante hero has a camera crew, dramatic lighting, and a suspiciously polished backstory, just remember, you might be watching Amish Mafia. Like and subscribe and tell us, which reality show deserves barn jail next?